I will be master of these games. I know what they crave, and I can devise entertainment that will feed that craving.
My son, show them you can fight, then we will see each other again.
Look at me now, they count me down. So give me the crown.
20 years ago, I scavenged. One beating taken, one beating given, one ugly errand at a time. I thought you were dead.
I'm gonna take everything from here.
Anything can happen. Even plebeians like us might rule this city.
Make way for the king.
The moment is upon us. Kill or be killed. Let the games begin!
Well, I think it's I think for me, I had multiple fights, and one in particular where he sets fire to the room that I'm in, and and I'm just lying on the floor, and there's fire in the room, and he's sort of walking out and closing the door, and then everybody on the camera starts panicking, and I think a part of the set had actually caught on fire. Obviously, it was very safe. There was people there; they were immediately on it, but these things happen, and I just remember being lying there, hearing this panic, going, oh, fuck this, I'm getting out of here. And I just got up in the middle of this. It was like, I'm not burning. Because because I had sort of unconscious in the fire, and all your instincts are telling you to run, and you couldn't, and it was quite difficult. But Daniel, who plays us, was carrying on the scene and shutting the door on me. He was like, get the fuck up. Nothing bad happened, and the crew were fantastic, and they were on it straight away. And I felt very safe, really. It was just, obviously, when you're setting fire to a studio, it's kind of scary.
I remember when an elephant and a giraffe escaped.
Yeah, of course.
From the lot. It's the most bizarre. So you see people running after them, like running after an elephant and a giraffe in the middle of Cinecittà. So that was wild. That was like, I think it's not supposed to be like that, but they just escaped. So they probably had enough of the heat and all the set, when I don't blame them. Our job looks amazing once you see it, but sometimes when you do it, it can be quite, intense. So the poor animals got away with it, and they ran away. And I remember, I can't give it away anything. Otherwise I spoil the thing. But I remember one particular scene that was very dramatic, and I was supposed to see something through this little hole. And what I see, it's intense, but like behind the wall, there was another wall. So there was nothing. So the most amazing sense memory I've ever done in my entire career, I had to imagine in this whole entire stuff happening, because the camera is on you, but obviously you do this shot, but you don't necessarily do this, because that's happening behind the wall. So that was like intense, because I had to have all this emotion coming up, and I was just looking at the wall. All this weird stuff about business. It's like, when you see, it's like, oh my God, looks amazing. Yeah, I don't know how, because I was just looking. So that's acting as well. It can be quite, crazy.
Oh God, every set was memorable. I mean, Colosseum walking onto that set for the first time was like, wow, I've never really seen anything like this before. It's like an aircraft hangars. It was just enormous, just massive, and you're so high up. And then, you're sitting there going, all right, yes, this is pretty good, feeling like an emperor now. And then a giraffe walks past in front of you, and you're like, okay, this is an interesting set. That was just like that was the time where I was like, this scale is, I've never seen anything like this being shot. I've certainly never done anything like it before. It was incredible. Challenging. A lot of the challenging things I think Roland made easy, because he's such a master at working at this sort of thing. But there was a lot of sets that were very dark. There were a lot of sets that were very dusty. There were a lot of sets that were very smoky. And And I guess having the stamina in those dark, dusty, smoky spaces is a bit of a challenge. But if that was the biggest challenge, then I'm a very lucky boy.
You know, it feels like every day was a challenge because every day you just get out of the trailer, you have like 200 extras in costume. It feels so big, and amazing. But well, I think the first time, because it arrived late on the schedule, when we arrived in the Coliseum build, that was amazing, and that was challenging because my character had to experience everything, seeing my son fighting, seeing my daughter being trapped and on the pool, and what was, okay, I'm gonna either lose my son or my daughter, and I knew it would be a very, very emotional day, and it was. And then that with, the fake lion that you have to imagine on top of that, because we didn't have a real white lion. That was the most challenging day, yeah, because it was, yeah, the scale of it, all the extras, and for me being that emotional, that was. And on top of that, we had to experience, not this day, but those days in the Coliseum, we had to experience the escape of the giraffe. I think that's the more memorable souvenir. Like, she decided that when the drums started, that she decided, I'm off. So she went out of the studio, and then the elephant were, yeah, I'm gonna follow her. So kind of, that was like Madagascar. They really did escape the set. Yeah, every day has something special you wouldn't expect.
The most remarkable was probably also the most challenging for me, which was the episode 10, where me and Johannes have our big battle in the Colosseum. The reason it was just such an epic moment, firstly, it was the set was amazing. It was a beautiful set. And us just being in our gears and just having, you had the emperor, and you had, the people, the audience, and we were just there. It really felt like a real moment, for us, especially just having that battle. The reason it was challenging, it was physically challenging because we were wet, and, it was very cold on the sand. The sand was just getting everywhere in our costumes. And it's an epic scene. It's one of the biggest scenes of the whole series. So it was like something that you've constantly just thought about, and then you're in that moment and you just go with the flow type of thing.
Yeah, I agree with Mo. That's the same one for me. Our whole process was leading up to that last episode, and for us it's one long scene, but we in the episode we come in and out of it. But for us, it was one long sequence shot over a multiple of days and prepared for many months. And on that great grand set that is the Colosseum that they built in Rome. They built a new one. We obviously can't use the original one, but that one really stands out.
I mean, it's so long ago that I sort of have a recollection of moments, but trying to specifically remember all those days. I mean, I remember a really challenging day was I was doing a scene with Eniko, who plays one of the Corsi brothers, Andrea, the older Corsi brother, and we had to sort of ride these chariots and wave at the emperor who's up in the stands, and the horses that we were on had been racing in the morning and basically just wanted to keep racing, and so as I'm waving, my horses just went and started running at full speed, and I grabbed with both hands and tried to slow them down, and was just like shocked at how insanely fast and powerful they were when they wanted to just go, and they weren't really paying any attention to me at this point. It was like they had decided they were going to race, and so we're getting closer and closer to the turn at Circus Maximus, and I can see the wall just getting sort of larger in my field of view, and I'm just thinking, I need to turn this chariot around and just
every ounce of my strength trying to pull them to turn to the left. And I wasn't quite sure, you know, because there's all this sand. The horses kick up all this sand. As you pull back, you're right in line as this sand sort of fills your vision. And so it took me a while to sort of gauge whether we were turning or not. And as we sort of passed the wall, I was like, okay, we're going to make it and straighten up again on the straight. But
wow.
That is a strong memory of mine, and you know, credit to the stunt guys. Yeah,
I bet you nearly died. I remember.
Yeah, I mean, you know, it was that thing where sort of like everything just sort of went quiet around me. Even though I could hear sort of shouting and screaming, my sort of inner voice was like, "You need to figure this out because there's nothing else that's going to stop these horses," kind of thing. And but it was quite, you know, I'm glad to have experienced it because it was wild. The adrenaline rush of it and the feeling of these horses gave me some small taste of what it would have been like for these guys to do it. And it's a credit to the stunt guys that they trained us so much in preparation in case anything does go wrong. Because had we not had that sort of rigorous prep, I think I would have just freaked out. I wouldn't have known what to do. But they had sort of taught us how to handle things in the extreme. So that was quite a moment.
This is a slightly boring answer, but it's just kind of your job, you know. I'm not one of those people that kind of goes, "Oh, today was this day," and I'm just like, it's just my job, man. I'm just gonna go through it and do what I've got to do and say my lines, and you know, so it's tricky to kind of give you things that feel quite polarized in that way. I can just talk about the energy of the show and the experience, and the whole thing was a real privilege. Working with Roland was an incredible privilege, and obviously working with Tony, but also working with Joe a lot as well, and Laura. You know, the whole cast was brilliant, and I just had a great time. The only challenge, if there was one, is I'm from the north of England, man. I don't like it when it gets above 22 degrees. When you're in 42 degrees with armor, whoa, that was a challenge of meditation that I've never had before. But listen, like, come on, like Joe said, if that's the only challenge, that it's nice weather, then it was a great summer. It was a great job. Loved it.
Life is of little value in Rome. Living in the shadow of the rich and powerful. But all of this is about to change.
Soon I shall cross the kingdom of darkness. But nothing is more important than protecting our beloved Rome. Our enemies in Rome are dangerous.
They say I walk like a king, talk like a king.
My children have been taken from me.
You need money. Lots of money.
I will find a way.
I will be master of these games. I know what they crave, and I can devise entertainment that will feed that craving.
My son, show them you can fight, then we will see each other again.
Look at me now, they can't hold me down. So give me the crown.
20 years ago, I scavenged. One beating taken, one beating given, one ugly errand at a time. I thought you were dead.
I'm gonna take everything from here.
Anything can happen. Even plebeians like us might rule this city.
Make way for the king.
The moment is upon us. Kill or be killed.